Hey guys, so in this video it's just going to be a continuation of the wiring, and this is basically me going to be making the entire engine harness from scratch as well as the sub harness and then putting it all back together in the FC. Alright, enjoy guys.
Alright, so update on the harness. This is my sub harness that I kind of just redid. Made it look nice, make sure the connections are all good. Then this is the flying lead harness for the ECU. And basically these are all the wires that come out of the ECU, all the pins for it. I basically mocked up. They don't really show this on YouTube, I don't know, no one talks about it, I feel like. Anyways, this is going to be for my 12 volt ignition power from the switch. These are the wires that come through the firewall grommet, and then they split off over here is to the rear engine, rear of the engine in the middle. Gives me a reference point how I want to wire it and pass the harness through. I'm going to have to pass a couple of grounds over here. Then I got my injectors, my sensors, crank angle sensor, and then outside of the engine stuff, I have my ECU ground to battery, and I have my ECU ground to chassis, and then I got my ignition coils. Those are my ignition wires for the coils. And then I got my two ones for the E-fan and for the fuel pump going to the relay. Yeah, I need to pass a whole bunch of more wires because, for example, each of these sensors here, they need this 5 volt reference, so I need to splice into this. Those 3 sensors. I got all the plugs over here. Some of them were very tough to source, and some of them I didn't get right, so I'm going to have to. I would rather not modify the stock stock harness, and I would just rather modify the connector on the sensor. For example, a crank angle sensor, I wasn't able to find it, but it's a 4-pin, and I have a 4-pin connector here, male and female, and then put that in. And then, yeah, keep you guys updated as I go. Alright, so the other day I finished the wiring for this. This is what you call eccentric wiring, more or less. This is the best as I could do. Basically, you start with the 2 most important wires in the middle, which is your crank / cam signal. And you don't want to have any interference with this, because that, of course, would change the how your motor acts, and it could definitely destroy your motor if that gets open or short. So you protect that with all these other wires. I was able to use all the wires I needed to make a pretty perfect circle. Some gaps I did not take into consideration, and the length too. You know, I'm missing about 3-4 inches of what I wanted originally because of all the twisting and turning that kind of made the length a bit shorter, which I did not take into account, but I think it should still be good because I gave play when I measured everything. These are all the spare wires that I do not need, that are just extra, you know. These are, for example, if I want to run NOS, or if I want to run, you know, 2-step, you know, I need a controller and stuff. But I'm going to use these, basically, I'm still going to use them, but I'm basically going to use them as dummy wires and see if I can make a loop, but going the other way. And then see if I can still make it come out over here in case I do need to use them. I know where it is. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Alright, so just so you guys get a better idea of what I've finished and done, because, yeah, no one really explains in depth how to do this, especially on like a stock-ish 13B, start to finish. So I'm going to give you guys what I did, and if there are any mistakes or things don't work out, well, you are going to know. So this is the pinout for the Fuel Tank ECU. I got the FT450, so just one single 32 pin. And basically these wires right here is CAN bus. This wire right here is CAN bus if you want to run a different module and you know, you want to communicate with it, you know, whatever. I'm not running anything like that. These two wires here, these are going to ignition. Get my 12 volt as soon as I turn the key on. Then we go firewall grommet, straight to the firewall grommet. Right after that, I'm gonna have all my coils right out on the corner of the engine bay, along with the grounds, several grounds with different things. And then yeah, and then this basically goes to the middle of the engine, or the rear center iron. And then it splits off into, you know, secondary injectors. You got whatever, TPMS, crank sensor, ECT, oil pressure, fuel grounds. And then if you go back over here, this is basically going to split off, go down to the battery location. These are going to go to positive and negative for different things. These are going to go to the fuse box. I'm going to try to use the stock fuse box to switch out and add some fuses that I'm going to be using instead, which is going to be for the fuel pump, which is going to be for the injectors and the coils. And then it goes over here. Not too happy about this, but it is what it is. Just an inline fuse for my fan. And then these are all the relays. So I got the injector, fuel pump, coils, and fan. For my fan, these are the two wires that come out, power and ground for the fan. And then these are wires for grounds for the relay and for the fan, for example. And yeah, overall, I'm happy with it. Would I do things differently? 1,000 times yes, because, for example, when I had my buddy come over, we were doing these style connectors, and we didn't know that you had to do them outside before, you know, you have to do them outside and then plug them in to the front, basically. So didn't work all that perfectly the way we wanted it to. We messed up a couple pin outs and stuff like that. You know, this worked out pretty nicely. I did the concentric twisting and wiring, connector wiring. So and I do use different types of sleeving. I would have liked to use this the whole time, but I didn't have enough. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Zeta tape. But yeah, also for the connectors, I've had so much struggle trying to source all the connectors. You can see over here I have a whole bunch of extra spare connectors because I was trying to source them all through the forums and everything, but some are for FD, some are, you know, whatever. So for example, crank angle sensor, I have the wrong one, so I'm going to, instead of cutting up the old harness, I'm going to cut up the actual crank sensor harness and put this pin in. CPMS as well, I did not find, so I had to use another connector. I didn't cut off the one out of the stock harness because I already had a spare one. Then, for example, these secondary injectors, you know, I just couldn't. I didn't know they were this type, and I'm kind of in a rush because I have to finish the car before, you know, certain in like 2-3 days. If not, I would have ordered these, but I know what these are one. These are simple EV1 fuel connectors, you know, pretty common. The old style, but the thing is I just wasn't able to get everything. And I tried marking up, tried writing every possible thing there. Can't really tell as much. Some of them yes, some of them no, but at least all, you know, marked up, and you can kind of tell what they are. As well, you know, as these little thingies, I kind of marked everything up. I also got 2 extra outputs if ever I want to use whatever, NOS or whatever. I'm thinking I can even use it for accessories. I get these 2, basically I hid it in there, but if I want to do, I have 2 extra outlets I can use. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to try to slap it in the car, see how things go. There's so many things I would change about it, even for the wiring, you know, actual wiring itself. I would have used much better wiring. But let's see how this does, you know. I don't know. I'll see. Alright, so small update on the build. Got all the wiring in. Wasn't able to wire tuck because there's no spots unless I trim stuff, so pretty much everything's back together. Still gotta put the battery in. Get new battery terminals and everything, and it's not looking as clean as I'd want it to be, but at least it looks a lot better with the E-fan, the coil rad. Got all my relays right here. I'm gonna get an LRB cooling panel, so at least that'll hide it. But this fan is just amazing. Got it off a Kia, actually, a Kia Soul. Fits pretty well. Tested it, works well. And got my coil packs all mounted over here. Temporary placement, but definitely will do the job. Nice and solid and mounted. And I got my sensors all in there too. My ECT sensor, my oil pressure sensor. Tight fit, but I made it work. I had to buy some adapters, but it'll do the job. Now, gotta fill it up with coolant. Gotta make sure I can find the ignition source for my ECU, my ignition switch. And then, yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely. Still gotta put my exhaust up.